Hello, dear students. Welcome to the second part of the third lecture, which is entitled the Works Cited List and In-Text Citation in MLA Style. This is part 2. Part 2 is about in-text citation. In other words, it means the quotes or the paraphrased sources that you would cite in your work or inside your text. How are you going to code them? Well, in-text citation is the brief form of the reference that you include in the body of your work as you paraphrase or quote another author. It's a parenthetical citation that gives enough information to uniquely identify the source in your reference list or in your works cited list. It is consisted of the family name and the page, in case you have the page, or in case the source has a page. So here is an example that is interesting. Well, it's about Albert Einstein article, A Brief Outline of the Theory of Relativity, which was published in Nature in 1921. And let's imagine that you are theorizing something about literature and you find it interesting to include this theory or to quote from this article. And you are paraphrasing Einstein by saying these words, for example. Relativity's theoretical foundations can be traced to earlier work by Faraday and Maxwell. And you see here, you open the bracket, you put the family name first, then the page, then you close the bracket, then you put full stop. This is what we call in-text citation or parenthetical citation. Now we move to what I call the conventional format of in-text citation with some examples. And as you know, or as I have said, there are some codes that you have to follow or instructions that you have to follow when you are dealing with in-text citation. Some of them came from previous editions. There are other instructions or codes which are created in this edition. But all what you have to know is you have to follow these conventional forms in order to make your in-text citation valid. First of all, this code is related with quoting. So when a quote runs no more than 4 lines, we call it a short quotation. So you should put it between quotation mark, and in case you have mentioned the writer of this quote in your text, so there is no need to put it in the parenthetical citation. So as you see in the first example, I just mentioned the page between brackets because as we see here, the author Joseph Conrad has already been mentioned in the text. And it's the same with a paraphrase source. In case you are paraphrasing an idea and you have already mentioned the author of this idea in the text, so just put the number of the page of the source. There is no need to repeat the family name of the author in the parenthetical citation. The second code is the opposite of the first one. It said when the author's name doesn't appear in the signal phrase, or it means in the quote, or you haven't already introduced the author's name in the quote or before the quote, you have to place the author's name and the page number in the parenthetical citation. And as you see in the example here, so you see Davis hasn't been mentioned in the text, and that's why you have to provide this information in the parenthetical citation. And it's the same for a paraphrased source. In case you would paraphrase this quote using your style and you haven't mentioned the name of the author in the text, so you can put the name and the page of the source between brackets. And don't forget to put a full stop after the second bracket. Code 3. When a quotation runs more than 4 lines, we call it block quotation, and it means a long quotation. So how can we cite a block quotation? First of all, you should know that there is no need to use quotation marks, but you should indent this block quotation 1 inch from the main body of your text, and you should double space the lines. Another thing is if you have already mentioned the name of the author or the title of the source, all what you need to do in the parenthetical citation is you put the number of the page, and of course it must come after full stop. So it's the opposite of a short quotation. So in case you haven't introduced a block quote, you can add the name of the author in the parenthetical citation. And this is the example, as you see, at the conclusion of Lord of the Flies, Ralph and other boys realize the horror of their action, and there is a block quote or block quotation from this novel. 4. When you quote a reference that is not originally from the source that you have, we call this indirect citation, which means you quote a work that has already been quoted in the source that you are taking the information from, or the idea from. So all what you need to do is, you have to create a parenthetical citation, and you should put this code QTD dot in, then you put the family name of the author, and QTD, it means quoted in the source of the author that you have mentioned his or her name. And here you can check the example of Boswell. As you see, I put quoted in Boswell, then I have put the pages of the source, or the page of the source, sorry. 5. It is interesting to see how the theorists of MLA have thought about including audiovisual material in quoting or citation. And as we see here, this code is about the way you should follow in order to quote or cite a video. And as we see, all what you need to do is when you quote a reference from a theme-based media like a video, or what you need to do is to provide the name of the author between quotation mark, then you add the format in hours or minutes or seconds. And as we see in our two examples here, you see here the name of the author between quotation mark, then you see here the format of minutes and seconds exactly of the quoted source or the paraphrased source here. And that's nice. Yeah, it's very interesting here to see how to cite a video. 6. So when you have already an author with 3 or 4 works that you have already cited, so it's better, instead of writing the family name of the author, in order to avoid confusion, write the title of the work that you are citing. And in case this title is very long, like it contains 4 words, So you can cut it down. You can cut it down up to 2 words, as you see here. In our example, we have this book, The Double Vision, Language and Meaning. So in case we want to put it in a parenthetical citation, all what we need to do is just to cut it down to 2 words, and you can pick just the first 2 words, like the double vision, and that's enough. Yeah. Then you can add the page of the idea, or like the location of the idea that you have paraphrased or you have quoted. 7. When you have multiple sources cited at once, which means here, in case you have cited one idea which is located in 2 different sources, and you want to mention them both, all what you need to do here is you have to use both authors and pages, but you have to separate between them using a semicolon. As we see here in our example, let's presume that we are paraphrasing an idea that is located in the work of Byron and Jacobs. So here, we start with the first source, which is Byron, page 194, then semicolon to separate between the sources. Then you add the second one, family name Jacobs, then you have the page 55. And all you should close with the second bracket and put full stop. Remember, punctuation is very important in formatting. 8. In case you have cited information or ideas which are located in different pages, and you want to mention like 2 or 3 pages, so you can separate between these pages using comma. This is one thing. Or in case you have cited or you have quoted many pages, so all what you need to do here, you have to mention the first page, then you put dash, then the last page, as we see in our example here. The last code here that we have is about a situation in which we don't have pages. So in case you paraphrase or quote a source that is located on internet, and you don't find pages but you find chapters or paragraph, so all what you need to do here, so you write the family name of the author, then you should put comma, after that you put ch in case it is a chapter, or in case it is a paragraph you put para, p-a-r-a, then you add the full stop or dot, then you put the chapter's number 1 or 2, or the number of the paragraph 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, then you close the bracket, then you put full stop, and that's it. And you should know that there are other codes, but since this is just an introduction to MLA, I said it's fair enough to have at least or to know at least 9 codes. Now we move to the phase of activities. We have 3 activities: activity 4, activity 5, and activity 6. So this is the second part. Remember, you have 3 activities in the first part and 3 activities in the second part. So let's have a look and discuss these activities. Activity 4. All what you need to do is to choose the right answer. Read the statement or the question carefully, then make the right choice. You have I, B, C choices. Make the right one. Activity 5. You have to read these statements carefully, then decide whether they are true or false, and you have to correct the false statements. And all the statements are about in-text citation here. Activity 6 is tricky a bit because it's practical and it looks like it's an authentic test here. I have picked a quote from the book of Sullivan, which is entitled Memory and Forgetting in English Renaissance Drama. And all what you need to do is you have to read this passage carefully, then you consider which option is valid when it comes to in-text citation. Is it option A or option B or option C? I'm going to read the original quote. The passage reveals something important about forgetting in early modern literature and culture, that it's frequently associated with resistance to or the retooling of normative models of behavior. So here then we have option A, in which there is a kind of paraphrasing. Then the second option, another different form of paraphrasing. And then option C, it's another attempt. One is correct, two are not. So you tell me which one is correct here. So that's all what I have for this lecture. These are the references that I have relied on in order to prepare everything. So please, I want you to try with these activities. They are very important. I'm looking forward to read your attempts when it comes to these activities, and I will react to your attempts. In case you make it great, I will be happy. In case you fail, I will figure out what's wrong, and see you next time with lecture 4.